in. You are listening to the Nollywood Spotlight Show on Nollywood Radio France. And my name is Rebecca-Monyei, and always with me is Cyprian Josson. Cyprian, tell the listeners where you're located.
Yeah, my name is Cyprian Josson. I'm the producer and the host of Nollywood Radio France. I live in France, and Rebecca-Monyei lives in Houston, Texas. So many kilometers that separates us, and this is the magic of technology. So Rebecca, I'm now sitting on the other side, and you are going to interview me on the Nollywood Week-Paris Festival. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Absolutely. So we're going to start the interview with a couple of questions that I have. I'm very, very excited. I heard so many wonderful things about the festival. Even Rita Dominic, the Nollywood Rita Dominic, who's been acting since the age of 5.
Yeah.
I heard in one of your interviews, was there, and actually I'm not gonna spoil it, so I'm gonna let you tell us some of the key things I've heard so far. So Cyprian, what was the mood and the atmosphere of the event? Like, how did that go? This is the second edition, correct?
Yeah, this is the second edition, and I can tell you that the mood was just wonderful. There were so many people. Like you said, Rita Dominic was there with other directors, producers of Nollywood, producers in the Nollywood industry from Nigeria. And the organizers also did a wonderful job, because from my own calculation, I think there were more people this year than last year. And again, the number of movies that were chosen was just wonderful. I think we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the different interviews that I conducted during the festival for our listeners. And Rita Dominic was just so nice, because I met her, and then we had very good conversation together.
Wonderful, wonderful. I heard that it was definitely a great event. I'm very happy that our own Cyprian Josson was live in person. So, did you get a chance to interview anybody at the event?
Yes.
Other than Rita Dominic?
So many interviews, and I interviewed a good number of stars. I interviewed a filmmaker called Emeka. He is the director of the movie Misfit. You see, I think we're going to talk about that, because during the interview he was so emotional, and I was so surprised. I said, okay, what's happening to you? He said part of the story in that movie was his own story. You see, so that's things. These are one or two things that happen when you interview people that are very sincere. And I can tell you, I love that movie. I love Misfit. Misfit is one of the best movies that was screened during the festival, but unfortunately it didn't go through the votes. You see, I voted for the movie, and I can tell you, if that movie can be graded 4/5 stars for the fact that the characters were just fantastic. It looks real. It deals the storyline is all about mental health in Nigeria. Then I interviewed other people again. People that came to the festival, some journalists also that came all the way from Spain, and a good number of participants of the festival. And all this you can find on our website, nollywwod-week-paris-film-fest.com.
Okay, wonderful. So those interviews are already uploaded on nollywwod-week-paris-film-fest.com.
Some of the interviews, but not all the interviews, because we have a lot of contents now to entertain our listeners for so many weeks. And again, not forgetting that our movie review will still continue. You see?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Wonderful. So how was the interview with Rita Dominic? Let's talk about that. Like, what was her personality like? And she must have showcased the movie as well, correct?
Yeah, Rita Dominic's movie is called The Meeting, which I watched. I watched the movie before interviewing her, just to find out. But when I saw her, I met her in the crowd because there were so many people. So we had a very warm conversation. I told her I would like to interview you. She said, "Oh, no problem." She's such a very nice and soft and looks kind. She's such a very nice person. That's the impression she gave to me. And then you wouldn't even know that she's a star, you see, or maybe because she's in Paris, because we have we have us.
He was a facade. Is that what you're saying, Cyprian?
Yeah, because in Paris it's not the same. It's not going to be the same attitude when she goes back to Nigeria, you see. So last year also I interviewed a lot of stars, in Paris, but I think it's going to be very difficult to get them for an interview in Nigeria. So going back to Rita Dominic, she accepted the interview just after the screening of her movie, and then it was the movie that won anyway, but we didn't know the result when I interviewed her. And then she gave such a very nice interview telling me about how she started and also the future of Nollywood, the ups and downs. You see, so I think our listeners should go to our website to find out more about this interview. It was a very warm and cordial relationship, and the conversation went through well.
Wonderful. So the interview that I have on Nollywood Radio France is just 5 minutes and 37 seconds or something like that. Is there an extended version of the interview on nollywwod-week-paris-film-fest.com?
No, it's just the same interview. Yeah, because it's a short interview for the fact that so many people were waiting for her. As I was talking to her, there were televisions waiting for her. She was the star, really, of
the entire event.
And she did everything. She did everything, making sure that she really wanted to talk, to me. And then she did everything to make it possible, because I told her, just follow me so that we can find a quiet place. But the backgrounds, like our listeners will observe, there are still background noise as I was talking to her. But she was so nice, passionate, like I said, and gave the interview right away. And so it was her movie that won the award, and this movie is The Meeting.
Okay, wonderful. So what was your perception of the movie itself?
The Meeting talks about corruption in Nigeria. Now, it shows how corrupt the Nigerian society is. I think somehow it's a universal story. And again, corruption also, I say, is also a universal story, but the level it has reached in Nigeria is very high, and that's what the movie was trying to show us.
Wonderful. Thank you for answering that question. That's definitely something that is a story that needs to be told, I think. A lot of people, not that they're not aware of it, but I think, if you're so privileged, or maybe not even in a position, you kind of think that doesn't exist, or maybe, the law is above that, or, you can conquer that. So it's good to see that it still exists, and I hope that in the end, she didn't get away with it. I hope there is a happy ending to this story, because everything you just mentioned is not a happy ending.
The story ended happily because the corporate manager got the contract from the minister. So this is what you find in all Nollywood movies. There's no suspense at the end. You see?
So you didn't want it to have a happy ending?
I think what makes a book interesting is to leave the reader with a suspense. For me, or in a movie, allow my imagination to continue working.
Right.
How did the hero die? What happened? But now when you bring a solution, you solve it at the end. For me, it's nice also, you feeding us like babies, and we want to solve the problem ourselves. I think the script writers should stop helping us and playing the judge at the end each time. In all Nollywood movies I've been watching, it has been finishing with happy ending. Maybe it's a way to console people. People expect that in Nigeria.
In Hollywood, a lot of their movies also end with a happy ending, but there is always that extra 30 seconds of twist that makes you feel like the villain is still alive. You know, like for example, in a lot of the scary movies that you see here, fine, the villain is maybe caught, may die, but at the end you still see that maybe their spirit is still lingering. So the viewer is thinking, does that mean that the spirit still has the energy or the power to kill or, you know, to cause havoc since the body is dead? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I feel like with this particular movie, though, you're right. I feel like we should still have a way to leave the audience thinking, to leave the audience wondering what may happen, what could also happen in addition to that happy ending. I don't know. I've been seeing that a lot with Nollywood films. I'm not really complaining that they don't tie up the loose ends. I just feel like they tie it up a little too well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but there's one of the movies I watched during the festival, Confusion Noir. Now, Confusion Noir is all about crooks. You know, it's a very nice movie. But talking about the ending, now it wasn't a happy ending there. Because instead of shooting the villain, the crook that took away the money, now mistakenly the gun went on the friend that was pleading that he should not be shot. That was how it ended.
Wow.
And now people were saying, but that's wrong, you know, but that's good. That's good because
I see what you're saying. Oh, okay.
You see the type of movies I like. You see the type of movies.
But in America, even in America, the villain has to die though. It's just that in America, in Hollywood, they kill the villain in such a creative way. To where one, you feel like the villain deserved to die.
Yeah.
But two, you're like, is he really dead? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's how they do it here. And I feel like we in Nollywood need to come up to that level.
Yes,
where we too are able to be creative and not just tell the story. I remember in my writing class in college, I would write a short story. And I had the beginning, middle, and end. And I'll present my paper because this is my short story creative writing class.
Yeah.
And I hand it to my teacher, and my teacher would give me a C, and I'm like, that's a thought out, great grammar. What are you talking about? I said, that's too easy. You could do better than that. That's a child rhymes book. That's not a story that would make you think. You have less than 30 minutes to make an impression.
Mm-hmm.
You have to tell a story that would spark an image in the reader's mind. And, you know, that really stayed with me because I was like, you know, I'm thinking I'm writing great papers. I finally have my grammar down. My punctuation is correct. Mm-hmm. And I still get a C. And being in Nollywood, I realized exactly what is going on. Mm. We have to go beyond that simple. I mean, it sometimes it's sad to see that we haven't even got down the part of having a beginning, having a clear middle, and an end. You know, but in some movies we do get that down, but we do need to move past that. We have to be creative. I mean, a great example is Harry Potter. That is a complicated. Have you seen Harry Potter?
No.
You haven't? Oh my gosh, Harry Potter is absolutely famous here. There's Transformers, the child cartoon turned into a real movie. I mean, just thinking of popular movies in the States, I need to think of one that you may have seen in France. But in those movies, all bad guys die. But in some way, even though that bad guy dies, there's still a huge question mark behind. Okay. You're like, is he really dead? I don't know. That bullet didn't look like an Etta though. You know? Let's check it. Make sure that blood Etta, you know? You know what I'm saying? But he died though. The point is the villain did die.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? It's not good to really leave the bad guy because then you feel like justice did not prevail. We don't have a solid justice system. So it's not really a good thing for the bad guy not to die. It's just, how did he die?
Yeah, but I understand you. For entertainment, I think the bad guy can be left to continue so that we can we can continue the story. See, I think the bad guys put some type of spice, in the movie also. It's such a nice thing to have them at the same time, because they put the action in the movie. You see, he gives us the other side. But when you kill them, and then you have all the good guys talking, now the movie will be very boring. This is what I mean.
I see.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna agree to disagree on that one.
Okay.
I can't watch a movie where a bad guy lives, man. I'm gonna see that movie one time, okay? But if the bad guy dies and you do it in such a creative way to where I'm like, I have to watch that movie again to see if that bad guy really did die, because there's a question mark.
There.
Then you have that extra
and
income from me having to pay again to come and see if that bad guy died.
And that's where you have the part 2.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I guess that's a great twist. Wonderful. Okay, so in the film festival, which we're talking about, we're talking about the Nollywood Week Paris Film Festival 2nd edition.
Yeah.
Were there any sponsors at the event? Because again, in Paris, it's a very different type of environment. In America, a lot of the African culture, African descent, is a lot more accepted, I feel, compared to France. Like, were there supporters of that event? I mean, was it taken well by the community? I mean, how would you see the French people accepting of this festival?
Now, the sponsors, the biggest sponsor is Total, Nigeria.
And who's Total?
Total.
Oh, Total Nigeria.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they were the sponsors, and then according to the speeches that were made, the organizers were saying that without Total, we will not be here. I think, I can't tell you how much they put on the table, but you have other sponsors also. One interesting one is, I wouldn't call their name on our radio. I'm calling Total because Total, if you hear us, sponsor our radio. It's all about Nollywood.
Right. Are you sure the other ones who sponsor us, if they hear their name?
They will not. I don't think so. They're a little bit French, They will not. But I'm going to give one other name. He's now a friend. It's Wirico. Wirico is from Spain. It's the person managing it is called Sebastian. And then I interviewed him also. Wirico, I don't know which language he told me, in African language. It means open your eyes.
Oh, wow.
These are Spanish people that are defending African culture.
Unbelievable.
Yes. I interviewed him, yeah.
Were they African?
No, but they are Spanish.
Wow.
Defending African culture. Wirico is I don't know if it's Swahili, I don't know. I don't want to make mistake. It's an African language which means open your eyes. Now you can go to Wirico, www.wirico.org, and then you find out what they are doing, if you can speak Spanish language, because everything is in Spanish language.
Okay.
Even he taught me, as I was interviewing him, he gave me one word. He said, Benevenido. Yeah, Benevenido. I said, Benevenido, Sebastian. And then I started in English to interview him. It has been posted, and our listeners can go to our website to listen. Yes,
they
can listen to it.
Speaking of interviews, Cyprian Josson, I heard you two got interviewed. So who interviewed the interviewer at the festival?
You're doing a great job, Rebecca, because I'm sitting on the other side of or on the other side now, and then you are the person interviewing me. Now they have so many. I can see Bella Niger here. I think Bella Niger did not give any money, and then you have the embassy of Nigeria, I think, and again you have also the embassy of France. In Nigeria. I think these two are very important again because of in terms of visa and whatever. But they insisted on Total. Total was just, I think when they mentioned Total many times, and Total also, the people from Total came there to say we are supporting the event again next year.
Wow, how wonderful.
Oh,
how
yes.
Wonderful.
So I think the sponsors again from Nigeria, because Total said we have committed ourselves. We've been working in Nigeria for the past 8 years. Now Total now is now going on education, on culture, and then in why they are sponsoring the festival is because it falls into what they call economic.
That's
so
wonderful.
so
Yes,
they have
I
to
heard
sponsor.
about that.
So let me repeat again, Total, come to sponsor our radio. Because we're doing the same job. We're doing the same job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We are doing something here. So, Cyprian, I really appreciate this interview. I'm looking forward to being in France next year.
You
I
will
not miss the
Don't worry. Don't worry.
It's so great to see that Nollywood is recognized all over the world. We too have a story to tell. And that applies to everyone. Look at Rita Dominic's story. Look at the story you spoke about with the Mecca. I mean, these are stories that we all need to hear about and know about. It's very important. It's part of culture. It's part of my history. You know, as I grow older, to my children, my great-grandchildren, these are things I will be having conversations with them about, you know, how we ourselves are crossing this hurdle of racism, how we're crossing this hurdle of corruption, how we're crossing this hurdle of just being accepted in the arts. You know, can you imagine, even in the arts, we're not accepted. We have to fight to be accepted. We have to fight to be recognized. You know, this is very, very important. It's a great milestone. Congratulations to all the organizers of that event. I've heard nothing but great news from you, Cyprian. I'm so excited, and I look forward to seeing a bigger and better festival next year.
Yeah, and then you have to come during the festival. I think that would be the best time for you to come, yeah. And then meet all these people live, you see, talk to them, and then we will be too interviewing everybody because the job is a lot.
Yeah,
you see.
I agree.
Yeah, so I couldn't interview everybody, but anyway, if we are two, that would be wonderful.
Yes, don't worry. Total will take care of that for us. Total Nigeria.
If Total is listening to us, please come to sponsor our radio.
Right.
Thank you very much, Rebecca, for this interview also.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And listeners, if you're listening, go ahead and go to www.nollywoodradiofrance.com. There are several interviews done by Cyprian Josson at that event. Exciting. It's just a wonderful event, and we were able to get so many interviews. It'll be a great thing for you to hear them and just see where we are in France. And of course, we're gonna continue with the reviews. So also check www.nollywwoodspotlight.com as well.
Thank you. Bye-bye.